So let's talk about this game. Now, I did not watch this game because I was at my work event. I was at a dinner in Coquitlam. But you know what's funny about this game is when I pulled into the Vancouver Golf Club, and the Canucks had already scored their first goal, and then it was Montreal scores, and it was 1-1. So remember, I turned off my phone, and it's 1-1. So I thought, and then I checked my phone about 15 minutes later, and then it says 3-0 Vancouver. And I kept having to refresh the thing because I thought that my app was messing up. Like how could Montreal lose a goal? Because of course I didn't know about the offside rule. And then I called home. I called Sean, and he said, "Oh yeah, they had a goal waved off pretty quick." So I felt pretty good knowing that the Canucks were heading into the third period up 3-0. So a scoreless first period, although the Canucks out. It was a very even in shots, 9-8. Then, as the Canucks have been doing, they had an amazing second period. Remember, they had a horrible second period to start the year for the first 3 or 4 games, and now that's been their best period of the season. Connor Garland, a beautiful breakout play. Actually, it was Ian Cole. It was actually Miller to Cole to Hughes. Hughes with a cross ice pass to Miller, and then Miller centers it, and Garland tips it in, one-times it. Very, very similar to the very first goal that he scored this season. Remember in the very first game against Edmonton, the home opener, it was Petey actually centering it from the left wing, and he centered it, put a touch pass on a Garland stick, and then he tipped it by Jack Campbell, if you guys remember that, or Skinner, whoever started the net for Edmonton. Doesn't matter. Today, it was Miller from the other side. It actually deflected off of one of the Montreal Canadiens defenders, and then Garland put it past Jake Allen on a one-timer. So that was really, really cool. Great to see. So 1-0, 6 minutes in. Then 3 minutes later, this was the one where it was Gooley. The Montreal defenseman knocked Jake Allen's stick out of his hand, and he didn't have it for 40 seconds. And after 25 seconds, the Canadiens actually cleared the zone, but only cleared it to center line. Jake Allen looks behind his net, sees his stick, decides not to get it because the worst would be if he was skating behind the net and then the Canucks had a shot at the empty net. Kuzmenko, a quick up to Mikheyev, who comes over the line, recognized that Jake Allen doesn't have a stick, and then rips a shot past his glove hand. Yes, obviously he can still wave his glove at it, even though there's no stick. But if you're a goalie and you don't have your stick, you basically lose your complete bearings. You don't have your stick for support. You're not sure where you are in the net. And then it was a really nice, I'm not saying that Allen couldn't have saved it, but Mikheyev puts a really, really good wrist shot pass from distance past Jake Allen, and now it's 2-0, 2 Canucks goals within the span of 3 minutes. And then at the very end of the period, a really nice shift by the forward line of Joshua, Garland, and Suter. Suter actually doesn't get an assist because they control play, and then Garland takes a shot, goes and fetches his own rebound behind the net, outworks some guys, comes out in the front, takes another shot, and then Joshua is there to clean up the garbage. And yes, Pearl Shell, 40 seconds without a stick is an eternity, especially if you're a goalie. So the Canucks go into the second period, into the second intermission, up 3-0. Then Tyler Myers takes a hooker slashing penalty, whatever that was, on the partial breakaway. Then Noah Juleson, not a brutal, but it was a high stick on Suzuki. So the Canucks are 2 men short. They almost kill it off. They kill off the first one, but as soon as the first one is done, Myers is rushing back. You see, I don't know if it was Cole, it was Hronik, it was Myers, Miller trying to do their best to fight off 5 Canadiens players. Myers doesn't make it back in time, and then you're not blaming anyone. Mike Matheson scores from the slot, even though he's a defenseman, but all 5 Montreal guys were on top of the Canucks in the crease area, and then it becomes 3-1. But because that's the second penalty, the first penalty had expired, then the Canadiens are off the power play, so that worked out well. Then kind of nothing. Well, it was an exciting play, but no goals into the last 90 seconds. And then we get 3 goals. So remember, it's only 3-1. Montreal pulls their goalie, and then Boeser, a really nice pass from Joshua. Joshua, they clear the zone after a bit of pressure, and Joshua sees Boeser to his right, passes to the right, and Boeser puts it in the empty net. No problem. So now it's 4-1. We think we're laughing. Then Jack-Eye scores actually even strength, a bit of a weaker goal, a wrist shot from distance, catches Casey DeSmith on a short side, and now it's 4-2. So of course Montreal pulls their goalie once again, and then Boeser So Boeser and Miller and DiGiuseppe are kind of becoming like our Tanner Pearson from a couple seasons back when Tanner Pearson scored every empty net goal. But this one, Boeser had a chance to go for the empty net, but then he passes it to Miller, who brings it over the line, and he has a chance to shoot at the empty net, but then he sees Phil DiGiuseppe in the middle. I think that's good. Miller already has like a bunch of goals. Boeser has a bunch of goals. DiGiuseppe only had 2. So DiGiuseppe makes no mistake, puts in the empty net, and the Canucks win 5-2. So they beat Ottawa 5-2 on Thursday. They lose to Toronto 5-2 yesterday, and then they win 5-2 tonight. So they outscore their opponents 12-9 on this trip. No, that's not right. 5-2, 12, and then 2. No, yeah, 12-9 on this trip. And the Canucks are still doing very well. And it's actually just before I talk about the road trip. So they outshoot Montreal 37-32. They outface off them. You know, they went over 2 on the power play, but both times they looked quite dangerous. Actually, the second power play, they held them in for the entire 2 minutes. Actually, the first power play unit was on there. So they look fine. And then they get scored on once, but that's because it was a 5-on-3, became a 5-on-4. And then you can see hits were even. Montreal had a few more block shots. And then if you were one of those who looks at advanced stats, the Canucks did well. They had an expected goals of 55% to Montreal's 45, and the actual numbers was 2.7 to 2.2. So the Canucks basically, Montreal 2.2, 2 goals. They're exactly what they're supposed to be. If you take away the 2 empty netters, the Canucks scored 3, and then that's about the 2.7. So that was about right. And then the Canucks dominated a lot of they had a 54% Corsi to the Canadiens 46%. And you see that because the shots were 37-32. And then high danger chances, the Canucks had 58% of them, whereas Montreal only had 42. So overall, the Canucks deserved to win this game, and they actually did indeed win this game. Individual stats, a lot of guys with points: Miller, Garland, Boeser, DiGiuseppe, Mikheyev, Joshua, and Kuzmenko. So 7 of the 12 forwards have points. Ones that don't are Lafferty, Suter, Bluger, who made his debut tonight, by the way, Beauvillier, and Pettersson. Pettersson plays 17 minutes. You know that he's not right. Rick Tocchet even hinted as much in one of his post-game or pre-game interviews. So still leading the league in scoring. And then you have you have Hronek, Hughes, and Myers with 1 point each, and +3 for Hughes and Hronek. And look at Hughes, 28 minutes tonight. What a beast. And then DeSmith, I think he's 4-0-1. He's 4-0-1. Yeah, the only point he didn't get was the full 2 points against the Rangers in that controversial finish. So DeSmith has not been beaten in regulation, which is pretty amazing stuff. Finally, a quick note about the defensemen. On one shift, Myers got tangled up in the corner, and then Soucy blocked a shot. Myers finished the game. Soucy did not. So the bad news coming out of tonight's game, it could be that Carson Soucy is going to miss some time. Let's see. Let's not speculate too much. But if he is out, then you'd expect either Hirose or Wolanin to come in as a left shot. And then you take away Soucy, and then we look a lot weaker. So maybe you move Cole up to play with Myers. So then you have Hughes, Hronek, and then you have Cole and Myers instead of Soucy and Myers. I don't think you split Hughes and Hronek up right now. So then your third pairing will be one of Juleson or Friedman, who are on the right side, and then one of Hirose or Wolanin on the left side. That's what you're going to have to do if Soucy misses any time. And then, 2 lineup changes tonight. It was Noah Juleson coming in for Mark Friedman as their third shot right defenseman. Then you had Teddy Bluger making his debut as a center. So you had to pull a winger out or a center out. You end up pulling up Niels Hoglander. So then basically Bluger replaces Hoglander on the fourth line. Bluger goes to the middle. Lafferty switches to the wing. And then you had Beauvillier there. And then, of course, DeSmith was in for Thatcher Demko. Okay. That was base. Oh, I said okay. That was for you, Taylor. So that was tonight's game. What happens with the standings? Well, in our division, hardly anyone played tonight. Well, I guess Anaheim beat San Jose. So in our division, we are 2 points behind Vegas. A bit of separation from LA, but LA could get to within 2 points behind us with a win in their next game. But yeah, right now it's Vegas, Vancouver, LA is the top 3, and then a bit of a gap. Actually, Anaheim has a bit of a gap over Seattle, because Seattle, actually Anaheim is 1 game in hand and they're 3 points up. And then all these sucky teams at the bottom, Calgary, Edmonton, and San Jose. And finally, you look at the entire league, and Vancouver Canucks, they have dropped. They were third, but they were tied for third, but technically by virtue of playing one fewer game, the Rangers are in third overall, and the Canucks sit in fourth overall. Only Dallas can tie them with a win in their next game. So the Canucks are legitimately a top 5 team in the NHL right now. Yeah, I didn't watch the whole game. I just saw highlights. So Pro Shell, I did not see that giveaway to Brendan Gallagher. Finally, you look at the stats for the Canucks. Pettersson is still 25 points in 15 games. He slowed down a little bit in the last couple games. You have Hughes coming up right behind him, 23 and 15. You have JT Miller with 23 and 15 as well. So it's nice to see. And you have 5 guys playing more than a point per game. Boeser's 18 and 15, including 12 goals. And then you have Philip Hronek on a 10-game point streak, 16 points in 15 games, being awesome. Andrei Kuzmenko, I keep thinking he's been very quiet. You rarely hear his name, yet he's quietly piling up points. He's only 2 off a point per game pace as well. Then you have Mikheyev, 9 and 11, and then everyone else is under a point every 2 games. But still, Canucks are playing very, very well. You go to plus minus, and it's crazy. Hughes is a plus 18, which is nice. And then time on ice, you got Hughes at 24 and Philip Hronek right behind him at 23.55 as well. So a lot of great things for the Canucks. They finish off the road trip 2-1. Yeah, it kind of sucks that the loss was the one on Saturday night, Hockey Night in Canada, feature game against Toronto, which is probably of the 3 teams, the one team that I didn't want to lose to. But if you are 2-1 on the road trip, that's another game over 500. And I'm going to keep saying this. I'm going to keep saying this until I'm blue. I'm blue in the face. But remember, the Canucks got to finish 13 games over 500, because that means 82 plus 13 games over 500 gives you 95 points. And that's just simply for a wild card spot. The Canucks are back to being 8 games over 500. They're 11-3-1. They're 8, or another way of looking at it is they have 23 points in 15 games. So they're 8 points more than 15 and 15. So if they got to go 13 games over 500 and they're already 8 games over 500 for the final 67 games of the season, the Canucks only have to go 5 games over 500. That's just one a month. November, December, January, February, March, or even wait till next month, December, January, February, April, March. Again, 1 game over 500 for each of the final months of the season, and the Canucks are in the playoffs. I think you can aim higher than that, though. As I've been saying, why not fight? You're fighting Vegas for a top spot in position in the division, also fighting against LA.